Just like that.
Credit repair on steroids.
Credit repair on steroids.
But that's if you know what you're doing. Most people that's in credit repair, I hate to say it, don't know
what they're doing.
Do you know the difference between someone who's poor and someone successful? It's how they think. The level of effort that they're willing to put in to put priorities to the top. What happened if I told you my definition of selfish is my happiness is seeing you do better? Wouldn't you want more people to be selfish? So the mind is first before you put anything on top of it. You got to have some fertile soil before I put any seeds. People want seeds but got dull soil. And I like it this way too, because in normal credit repair, if someone has collections on their credit report, all they may do is get the item deleted. But when we go this route, we get the item deleted, we get the debt waived, so you no longer owe the company, no one else can buy the debt and ever say you owe them again. And then the check.
I think that's amazing. How did you learn this? Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs that are killing it in their space. I am super excited today because I get to interview a fellow Bulldog and a close friend, Mr. Lawrence. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
It's been a while since when I first started, we did a conference together where you did the business funding side and I did the business structure, but we have been at this for a couple of years now. So I'm just super excited for you just to be able to share some of your knowledge with my audience today.
It'll be my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So I want you to start off by telling the audience who you are, what you do, and how you got started.
I'm going to have to shorten all these up. Those are all long stories. No. Who I am, of course, I'm from Pontiac, Michigan originally. You know, life started out tough, but I've always been an overcomer, so I just overcome. I actually got here Huntsville, Alabama, by way of getting my master's degree in business administration and logistics. But I was on an entrepreneurial journey at the same time. I thought I was going to grad school to learn how to open a business, but lo and behold, when I got there, that's not what was going on. They was teaching you how to work for other people. So I'm like, let me go back to the drawing board. Since I was already fixing my credit in the works, then it was like, all right, well, let me open a business since I'm here for business. So open my first business. The car dealership was my first $1 million business. That's what kept me in Huntsville. And then now, since credit offered me the opportunity, I'm passionate about credit and all the opportunity that's given me up to this point.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you took your journey and what you've learned from just restoring and repairing your own personal credit, and now you're teaching others how to do the same. But are you teaching people how to start their own car dealership as well, or is that just something that you just leveraged on the side?
I do. Actually, I have a full university with everything I've been successful at. I teach people exactly how I did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything I've been successful at.
That's what I love about the entrepreneur space, because now you have so many entrepreneurs that are no longer gatekeeping. They're actually teaching people for a very small, like a fraction of the price of what we had to learn or what we had to spend to learn all of the information. I have a community, and in my community, I teach people how to get access to grant funding. And when I started applying for grants, there was nothing out there. I mean, not even like a Google search could teach you these strategies. So I'm just so excited that you're sharing your knowledge. And I know you personally, right? And I know you are killing it and getting results. But people who are watching this right now, I know one of your stronger points is personal credit and teaching people how not only to restore and rebuild their personal credit, but also how they can sue the creditors and the collection agencies for putting negative things on their credit. Is that true? I see it online. Is that really true?
I love you say I see it online. Well, yeah, you first got to be cautious if you see it online. So I'm glad you're doing your research before you go and start. But it is true. Yeah. I guess you can consider me one of the authors of it, because before I started telling people about this, I didn't really hear anybody talking about this. And that's actually what inspired me to start teaching it, because I was just doing it. But then I got online, I'm like, people are teaching this, but that stuff ain't true. So it was like, you know what, Lawrence, give them the real stuff. So that's what actually inspired me to just start teaching people about my experiences.
So what's the real stuff? Let's just go ahead and dive into it. This is access granted. You know, I know we not gonna give them too much, but let's give them access. What is the real stuff? I have a collection on my credit report. Seeing this collection, do I just call the collection company? Do I go straight to an attorney? What's the real stuff? How do I sue a creditor because they put something on my credit report?
The first question would be like, what happened? Because there's so many different scenarios, though. But not just because they put in a credit report, that's okay for them to do. It's what happens after. We hear a lot of times people go on these law tangents. Use this law, that law. It's like if a cop pull you over for speeding, he don't be like, "Oh, you violated penal code." He be like, "You was speeding." If you talk to a lawyer, you don't hear him talking to you about law. So it's like, all right, those are the professions where laws are used, but they don't even talk that way. How is it applicable anywhere else? But people, law, 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 law. It's like, okay, stop there. Can you express and have evidence of how they violated the law? So that's the first thing. People haven't been taught how to dispute. So let's go to this collection example. Let's say, and this debt validation is the most horrible thing I've heard people misinterpreting, because if you go to the law, it tells you the simple things what a debt validation is, and it's simple requirements that a debt collector can easily do that, easily send it to you. So it's like, all right, what you gonna do now? Let's say 1692 CC. That's the law that says in writing you can refuse to pay. And let's say in this example, the debt collector interprets that as a dispute. They put dispute remarks on your credit report. They just violated you, but the average consumer would not even know even what to look for, even know that's going on.
Wow. So it's all about the wording, and it's all about how they put it on my credit report that allows me to be able to go in and actually sue.
Definitely, it's case by case. And I'll take it a step further. The FCRA is different than the FDCPA. FDCPA is what they call strict liability. So if it happened, boom. But the FCRA is what they call a negligence law. So it's more involved as far as it's not just cut, bone, and dry. So that's why we like the debt collectors, because when we see a violation, it's not a back and forth. It just is.
So I can sue them and I can get what's the range? Am I getting $500? Am I getting $1,500? Or am I just getting them to remove it from my credit report?
That's funny that you say that too. And I like it this way too, because in normal credit repair, if someone has collections on their credit report, all they may do is get the item deleted. But when we go this route, we get the item deleted, we get the debt waived, so you no longer owe the company, no one else can buy a debt and ever say you owe them again.
Wow.
And then the check.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
All three.
Yes. So remember, regular credit repair, you just get a deletion. In this process, we get a deletion, a debt waive, and a check on the back end. So it's like, which one do you want? So, and then in this example, statutory, what they call damages, usually $1,000. But then we got what they call actual damages. So that's when you can exceed that $1,000. So every person is case by case, but what actually happened is a case by case scenario for everyone. So 1,000 being the minimum with statutory damages, but when you get into actual damages, you're talking about, I've heard of cases of $100,000 before.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the most that you've received for yourself or for a client?
And with the FDCBA collections right now, $5,500. So $3,500 and $5,500, that's usually about a regular settlement amount.
That's actually really good, though. That's very good. And I mean, it, covers a couple of damages that, I might have had to pay a higher interest rate or something because it was on my credit report. I think that's amazing. How did you learn this?
Just diving in the deep waters, but I learned a lot from FDCPA lawyers or FCRA lawyers, but then I actually found a guy online and he was diving into this very specifically, and then I just learned the specific strategy from him because he was just a regular person, but had a strategy that worked. So I really paid to learn, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I love that you said that. You made the investment to learn a skill that now allows you, one, to teach others, but it allows you the luxury or the lifestyle, because this is a full business that you created by making an investment, taking action, and actually using the resources and developing the skill. That's amazing. And that's what I try to teach people to do all the time. It's so important to invest in you and invest into your vision in order to get the resources and the capital that you need. That is life-changing. All right, so if I'm watching this right now and I am struggling with my personal credit, made some mistakes, went through divorce, maybe have a bankruptcy on my credit report, what advice would you have? Because I feel like it's over with, right? There are some people who get in that, they look at their credit report, they look at their credit score, and they're like, I'm just done. What advice would you have for me if I'm watching this right now and I'm ready, I want it, but I just don't think it's out there for me?
Well, I like that you said that where people heads are, because I run into that same process where people like, oh, I got to stay on my credit report for 7 years. It's just over. It's like, hold on, but no. So it's like the first thing I would do is go to annualcreditreport.com and pull my real credit reports, because I actually, in all of my years, I don't think I've ever seen 100% accurate credit report. The statistics on Google say about 79%, I believe that's what Google says, that credit reports are inaccurate. But in my own experience in 10 plus years, I haven't seen one.
Wow.
So that's the first thing I would do if I'm someone that's struggling with credit issues. Go pull my free annualcreditreport.com and go and look at those areas. And I actually got a free training on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram where it shows you exactly what to do from there.
Okay, that's good. So I go to freeannualcreditreport.com. I pull my credit report and I'm looking for inconsistencies. I'm looking for, things that accounts that might not be valid. How often do you see, or you said most of the time, right? You when you pull a credit report, there's something on there that shouldn't be.
Let's use FCRA language.
Okay.
Incomplete or inaccurate. That's what they say. So incomplete, we would consider that something missing, and then inaccurate was something that's just totally wrong. For example, I've seen people go onto their credit report and like it was a guy, he was looking on a third party credit, like Identity IQ, and he was like, oh, it's a late payment on here. So when he ordered his real annual credit report, the late payment wasn't on there, but that was the real source of the information, the annual credit report, not the third party. So little things like that, when people think they're going to pull up a third party to find errors, it's like, no, we don't start there because they don't have the full picture.
Wow. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Look at you teaching me something. All right, y'all. Listen, I hope you got your pen and your paper and you are taking notes because this is access granted. So we're going to go pull our credit reports. And then after we pull our credit reports, we're going to look for inconsistencies, right? Mm-hmm. So I pull my credit report. I go to freeannualcreditreport.com.
It's actually annual credit report.
I'm sorry, annualcreditreport.com. And then I see mistakes. What do I do?
But I won't say they're just going, if you don't know what you're looking for, then you may not know it's a mistake. Like in the debt collector example.
Well, give us the access. Tell us what we're looking for.
So yes, of course. Yeah. Dates are wrong. You know you made a payment on this date, but then you see a red X there saying that you didn't make a payment.
Gotcha.
You know what the amount was, but you don't see that report in there. You know that when you open the account, but you go there, you see a different open date. You know, those things are clear inaccuracies that you can point out yourself because you know what happened. You was there. And a lot of times I see with payment history, this is one I'm going to give people that people may not be aware of. A payment cycle, if you look on your statement, is not actually 30 days. So if you look on your credit report and you see a green check and then you see right after a 30-day late, that's impossible. You have to be 2 months, 2 cycles late. Pay attention to the wordplay. You have to be 2 cycles late to be a 30 days late.
Wow.
When people think of a payment cycle, they automatically assume 30 days. But a payment cycle isn't 30 days. So your next report after a paid month can't be 30 days late. It's impossible.
Wow.
But if you don't know that, you don't even know what you're looking for when you're looking at the credit report.
So this is why we encourage connecting with an expert, somebody that has over 10 years in their field and that can show me or actually go in and do the work for me to restore and repair my credit. So if I've made some mistakes, if I've made some challenges, I went through a divorce or there's a bankruptcy on my credit report, there's still hope for me. Still hope for me.
And a check at the end of it if you do it right.
And a check at the end of it if I do it right. But now we just have to go after. We just have to make sure we're aligning with, somebody who can help us. Mm-hmm. That's good. So, there's so many misconceptions on social media. There's so many people on social media saying, hey, we can sweep your credit report in 7 days and, come work with me and I can, increase your score in 30 days. Is any of that true? Can I get my credit score? Can I sweep my credit report in 7 days? Can I get the years of mistakes that I've made on my personal credit profile? Can I wipe that clean in a couple of days?
You want the truth or a lie?
I want the truth. I want the truth. I want to give them full access.
No, I'll say it like this. People that don't work hard, and usually working hard is a metric to making a lot of money. Now, a person that don't work hard, they can go get a lot of money, but the question is it legal? So in this example, yes, it can happen, but then that other question still arises.
Wow. Yeah. So, and I think I seen something where, people were actually doing the sweeps and it was popping back, stuff was popping back up on their credit report.
And that.
And so that's why I like your strategy a whole lot better, right? Because not only do I'm suing the credit bureaus, so I'm getting funding, and the collection agencies, right? So I'm getting funding, I'm getting money, something in return for my pain and suffering.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting the debt removed. So no one else can come back and buy this debt and it pops back up on my credit report. And it's removed from my credit report, so it's increasing my credit score. Just like that.
Credit repair on steroids.
Credit repair on steroids.
But that's if you know what you're doing. Most people that's in credit repair, I hate to say it, don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Fortunately, I have to agree. What's the time frame? What are we looking at?
And that's another thing too I want to clear up too. People always say, how long? You said it earlier. If people took this long to mess with their credit, time should really be the least of their worries, because it's like, I promise it won't take as long as you did to mess this up. But no, I quit. But the real time it can be short, but it just depends on if they feel that way, because it's usually a process. I give an example. I know there's an error, I dispute it, but then they run their old thing, verified. Everybody hate that. They cringe when they get that. But that's them in process. But that's us being aware, knowing that they never had a process to validate my dispute anyway. If I do a good dispute, they don't have it set up that way. So it's like, I already expect this. So it's like, what do I do next? So expecting them already to send me verified, then I know now I need to go and file my lawsuit. But now things become out of my hand, because I can't deliver the mail for the mailman, and I can't process through the courts until the people answer. So they have to go with the court response time. In a federal suit, I believe they have 21 days to respond. So we're looking at a 3-week time delay at minimum when you go to sue after your first or second dispute. So we'll say first dispute, and I want to clear something up too though. A lot of people just say 30 days when they send off a dispute, but it's like, no, because that thing that's out of your control again, you don't know when USPS delivered it. So the first thing you must do is track it, and then go from that day when you know it was delivered. So a lot of people make that mistake already, and they're giving days away, and they might be sending 2 disputes in when the first one haven't even completed yet, and then you're messing up again.
No, that's good. That's really good. So after I connect with you, I clean my credit, I get a good credit score. Now I got some money in my savings account too, because your company got me a check back for my pain and suffering. What's next?
That's the question that you answered before I even get there. It's like, where do you want to go with this? Because some people just want to say they got good credit. Some people might want a car. Some people might want a house. Some people might want business funding. Some people might want to get in real estate, which I help them do. So that's a question the person answers. It's like, all right, the door is open. Where you want to go?
But the opportunity is there. So definitely. Now, any struggles, any mistakes that I made, any hardship that I went through previously, it's no longer there.
Don't do it again.
Just don't do it again. Do you, in your university, and I think I know this, but I want you to connect this with the audience. In your university, once you remove the late negative payments, is there education on how to properly use and leverage credit now? Because I think that's one of the biggest things, especially in our community. We just don't have the knowledge about what credit is, how to use it, but not only how to use it, how to take it and basically make life-changing decisions and purchase real estates or start the dealership company. Do you teach that as well?
I do.
Okay.
Well, everything I've been successful at. So, and that's another thing I want to pinpoint too. I hear a lot of people, and I really want to touch on it. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but the truth hurts. We've heard this before, so this is going to hurt because it is the truth. And personal funding shouldn't be a thing, because here's the trap that most people get into. They'll get funded with a good personal score, maybe. They go to these banks, but then they don't have a solid idea. So now they run into the entrepreneur's first trap that every entrepreneur goes through. Their first business fails. But it fails on your personal credit and you just got it fixed. Now you can't get any business money, which the real gambit is to keep the personal credit clean to get all the business money you want. That's how I got over $1 million in business credit, by understanding don't use the personal credit. Make it look pretty and keep applying for the business, and you can keep that running. But most people get stuck because they get this personal funding that's out here, and then they don't have a solid idea. So it's that idea part that you talked about. If that's not solid in place, you're going to get trapped in this little thing right here. And everybody's almost been through it. So yeah. So I teach you how to not get stuck there first and foremost. And then of course we build it. So like right now I'm offering people suing the debt collectors is the best thing. Like it's better than credit repair. Like I say, because if you go to someone with credit repair, all you asking is to pay them to get an item deleted and you still owe the debt. But in this process, you say, you know what? I tell you, don't even give me any money up front. Let me just show you the service and let's talk about that later. I just want to help you.
Wait, so I can come work with you and I don't have to pay anything up front. And then once we get funding once we get paid from the creditors, then we discuss what payment looks like. That is, sign me up.
If you even want to pay anything.
Oh, wow.
You could just say, you know what? I just want the service, Lawrence. You just take that on the back end. I just want the debt waived and the deletion.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. So you're basically out here changing lives.
That's how I like to look at it. That's how I felt the whole time.
I'm going to call you Superman from now on. I love that. I love that. I love that. I tell people all the time, you mentioned earlier that nothing should be on your personal credit shouldn't be a thing, or personal credit shouldn't be a thing. I tell people personal funding shouldn't be a thing. And I tell people all the time that I think business credit and business funding is for people with a plan. When people come to me and they want access to funding, even grant funding, I always ask them what are they going to do with it? What's the plan? I'm not showing you how to get $150,000, $200,000, or even $1 million in funding if you don't have an action plan to back that up. I don't want to be the coach that, somebody says, hey, I got $100,000. Coach K showed me how to do it, but now I'm bankrupt. So I think, there are a lot of people in this space that just don't have the conscience, right? They see an opportunity to help somebody get $1 or help somebody get funding, which is good. And most of them are getting paid a percentage of it. But you want to make sure that I won't be able to sleep at night if I didn't know that, I helped somebody get access to the funding and capital they needed and they were able to use it to elevate and grow. Yeah. So I love that you stand by that. That's why you're a bulldog, and that's why we connect, because we are one and the same. Talk about, some things that you have been able to accomplish with changing your personal credit, learning this information, and now being able to get access to over $1 million in business funding. What are some things that you've personally been able to do?
I always tell my story. I came to Alabama with just a dream of getting out of poverty, and all my research said credit is the soonest way I can do this. So on that 10-hour drive with that 550 credit score, and I had a negative $1,000 in my bank account, because you know how you could overdraft then and get some little extra money and just pay the fees. I was on broke people time, so whatever. So I remember that. So, negative $1,000, just enough to get down south. How I say, man, I'm broke in the hood, so you just go whatever. I'm going down south. I don't know nobody in Huntsville, Alabama. All I know is they said they got a graduate scholarship for me and a job for me. I'm gonna figure out the rest when I get there.
Oh wow.
So yeah, 550 credit score, negative $1,000, 22 negative hours on my credit score, and I'm just learning everything how to fix my credit. So once I fixed my credit, I was like, hold on, this is a skill, Lawrence. So I started fixing everybody around me, helping them. Then I started helping my family, and I was like, you should start making money from this. So I'll never forget this story. I was making $1,000 a month, grad assistant at Alabama A&M. My rent was $400. My cell phone, cable, everything came to like $770 a month. I'll never forget. So I'm living off $230 a month. This is all I got to live off of.
Wow.
This is life. But I'm thinking though, I'm like, Lawrence, you by yourself. You don't need furniture. You don't have people over your house. So my living room is basically empty. I'm on an air mattress and a stand I bought from the thrift store and a chair I bought from home.
Wow.
This is my whole house. But I started being creative. I put an ad on Craigslist for a roommate. And I'm like, I'm not going to be in here fighting with no dudes. So I'm like, women only. So, so I put the ad out there, but I didn't put that in the ad. I just knew I wasn't going to accept no men. So finally get a woman roommate. So now I got her putting half the rent with me and half the utility. So now I got an extra $200 and something. So now we working about $500.
Yeah.
While I'm still fixing my credit. But I learned how to sell cars So when I fixed my credit, I started using that money to sell cars. But I was doing it wrong because the trap I told you about the personal credit, I'm using my personal credit to fund it. I'm living this trap I talked about, so I know firsthand. So I'm talking to the other dealers, and they like, oh, no, we don't, no. They're like, we get floor plans. So yeah, come to find out, it's a line of credit you can get from using your credit, and they'll give you a line just to purchase cars. So I'm like, oh, okay. That doesn't report on your personal credit.
Wow.
So yeah, me finding out the game. So that's what got me interested in the business credit then, because I'm like, oh, this is how they do it. So once I went down that rabbit hole, then I started learning about not putting stuff in your name, how to set up the trust, the holding company. Like, you just go down that rabbit hole, and I'm like, this is what the people do. So I just started putting the stuff in place. Like, I'm not the type of person that just take in information. I gotta put it in action. So as I started putting it in action, my life just started turning up. And I looked back, when I graduated, I was in a Range Rover, and I had my presidential Rolex, and I was already making more than my teachers with my master's degree.
Oh, wow.
And I was in 3 years from that negative $1,000 bank account in 2012 to December graduation in 2015.
Because you decided to bet on you.
Yep.
Because you didn't give up. Because, because a lot of people are sitting there and they're, they have bad personal credit and they're just letting it sit. They're not taking action. They're not doing anything with it. They're not trying to learn how to remove it, or even connecting with somebody who can assist them with removing it. So I just love what you're doing and how you are helping other people, and you're not even charging them on the front end. There are people who are charging $2,000 and $3,000 for credit repair, not removing the debt, just removing it from the credit profile so this debt can potentially pop back up later.
I've heard people come to me and say that they've paid somebody 2 years ago and they're still dealing with credit issues. So imagine paying somebody and not getting the result.
Y'all, this is access granted, like crazy access. I see it on social media. I see people talk about suing the creditors and suing the agencies, but I really just didn't know that it was a real thing. People say stuff online all the time. And then I seen that this was an opportunity that you offered. And I said, you know what? This is somebody I know and somebody I trust. So if this person is saying that this can be done, I have to have them on the show, and I have to have him come in and connect and tell entrepreneurs how they can get started. So if I'm watching this right now, I'm ready for change. I'm ready to get started. I'm ready to take action. Mm-hmm. Outside of pulling my credit report, what else can I do? What other piece of advice do you have for me?
You know, one thing that I found since I've actually been offering the free service, that it has, we thought money was the biggest barrier. Some people say, I don't have the money, but do you know the difference between someone who's poor and someone successful? It's how they think. The level of effort that they're willing to put in to put priorities to the top. Because a lot of times we see people and we could give them everything that they ever thought that they were missing, but they're going to mess it up because they don't have the mentality. So the mind is first before you put anything on top of it. You got to have some fertile soil before I put any seeds in there.
Oh, that's good.
People want seeds but got dull soil.
That's good.
So I would say the mind, if people don't understand, there's a level of sacrifice you must be willing to give up immediately. And the word is immediately, if you want what's on the other side.
That's good. That is good, y'all. If you are enjoying this episode of Access Granted, I want you to like and comment and share this out with 3 other entrepreneurs right now who you know could benefit from this amazing information. Lawrence, this is good. I am so happy that you came to share this information, because I just had to make sure that, I got somebody that was credible. I got somebody who would help entrepreneurs and help people. I have a community, and inside my community, I teach people how to get access to grant funding. I think we talked about that earlier. But as you're talking, I'm like, there's so many opportunities for Lawrence to get access to grants. And you probably don't. Do you use or leverage grants in any way at all?
Unfortunately not.
So because you are impacting others, because you are changing the lives of others, because you are helping others, there's companies who will give you money and funding to make that happen. So you could say, you know what? I'm doing this service for free. And I want to bless the next 20 people who reach out to me and give them access to this credit service for free at no cost. And it's going to cost me $1,000 to make it happen. Companies will give you the money to do that. That's what grant funding is. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, we gotta give my bulldog some grant money, because I love what you're doing. And these companies and organizations have so much funding out there available for you. I was looking online. I'm getting ready to host an event in Alabama, and I was looking online and I was like, how much grant funding is out there right now? There's over $47 million available for business owners in Alabama right now.
Is that so?
$47 million. So we are sleeping on opportunities that are right there in our back door. So I got to help you get some of this grant money that's out there.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm definitely, you know how to reach me. So I am just so excited. This has been one of my favorite episodes, and you've definitely educated me on an opportunity that I didn't know that was out there. But earlier you talked about another piece, and I think people have to know, or people really have to start gravitating to this. You mentioned once you learned the skill, you went back and you started helping your family. And people don't understand how big that is. We talk about generational wealth. We talk about helping people. We talking about making sure that people around us are good. But being able to fix someone's credit and then potentially show them an avenue to get access to funding, to help them make more money and get access to more funding and more capital, that's the real wealth building. And you've been able to do that and help your family and the people around you. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, it's something I like to say. I like to redefine words, and selfish is one of the words I like to redefine. What happened if I told you my definition of selfish is my happiness is seeing you do better? Wouldn't you want more people to be selfish? So in that essence right there, I'm like, hey, I'm doing it for me because it makes me feel good to see other people get what I thought I was missing and to be that vessel. That's my happiness. I want to do that for as many people as I possibly can.
Oh, wow. That's good. That's good. And that's what we're going to put in your grant proposal to help you get that grant money. That right there.
Redefining the word selfish.
Redefine the word selfish. I love that. Well, listen, Lawrence, I want you to tell the audience how they can find you and how they can connect with you and how they can get started. Do you only work with certain states? Is this for anybody? Let them know how they can connect.
Well, you can find me on Instagram, IOMDUB, and the number 4. You'll see me there with the red bow tie looking crispy. No, but and then Facebook, Lawrence, LAWRENCE, middle initial A, then Hicks, HICKS, and then YouTube, AAIT Enterprises with the S. That's my YouTube channel. And as far as the free collections, and this is specific to collections, Alabama is what we're focusing on, but we do have other states that we can help with, maybe a Georgia, a Florida, a Michigan, a Texas, California, Vegas, just a couple. But I really want to help you go hard in your state. So if someone that says, you know what, I want this state, reach out to me. Let me teach you everything I know and let me turn you up.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. You guys, your access has been granted. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this with anyone that you know could use assistance with their personal credit today. I'll see you guys next time.